Okay, so you rejoin us here in Milton Keynes at the British Rental Car Championship 2019. I'm James Auld, the commentator, and I'm with Spanners, co-commentator. Spanners, it's been pretty serious this afternoon so far. I don't think there's been a boring one all day, to be honest. It's been amazing. We've got the first of the third rounds. We've got 10 more races in this round. We're only going to do 5 this evening and then 5 tomorrow to complete this round. So half of the entries, the drivers, will be driving this evening, and the rest will be completing this round this morning, in the morning. So first of all, we've got Heat 1 of 5 that we've got remaining tonight. Should be about 10:30 finish for those of you watching on the live stream. But in this heat, we've got Sam Spinnael, we've got Arnaud Tinet, we've got Michael Weddell, we've got Lee Hackett, Sebastian Raikkonen, Sam Slater, James Marshall, Emile Hollink, Matej Vrana and Phillipe Denooz. That's a pretty decent lineup there, Spanners. You've got Lee Hackett, we've seen him win, we've seen Sam Spinnael win. Matej Vrana has won, I think, or he's certainly been up in second place. And Sam Slater in there, of course. This could be quite a tough one. Phillipe Denooz.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, don't leave out Slater. Of course, Denooz was pushing for 3rd place in his last heat as well. And Lee Hackett won literally the last race we saw. So, yeah, this is going to be real tough. And then that's without the likes of Weddell, who's going to be sitting there making a nuisance of himself as well. Yeah, absolutely. Michael Weddell is in the mix there. Of course, he's the reigning mini champion up from Scotland. Now, hang on. When you say that, are you saying he's a mini Scotsman, or he raced in minis?
He raced in minis. He's not tall, but he also raced in minis.
So he's both.
So technically he's both, but the championship he won was actually in the cars.
I'm with you, James. I'm with you. Yes. Yeah. Bit of a high stakes. The stakes have increased. I have been handed by the event organisers BRKC stickers, stars, that I'm allowed to issue to the winning drivers.
Fantastic.
To stick on the helmet. I'm quite
nice
pleased with that.
Yeah, that's cool. There'll be a few people getting absolutely pasted in them, won't there? at this rate. So anyway, the lineup here, I mean, they're about to go out. It looks like it could be, is that Arnaud Tinet who's going to be leading them out to qualify there. He, of course, in fact, here he's on screen there, and then it looks like Hollink behind him, and that's Matej Vrana in the red. And there, of course, is Phillipe Denooz, who's got the kind of black lines on the white helmet behind them.
That is to distort the shape of the helmet, so you can't tell what aero he's got on his lid.
And they can't see him coming when he's sort of hunting them down.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Arnaud Tinet, he's going to be the first one out to qualify by the looks of things. He's got a bit of a star-studded cast behind him. Last out to qualify is going to be Sam Slater. Sam Slater does need to sort of really try and pull more and more points. He got a 3rd place last time, 5th place before, I believe. So it may well be that he's doing enough to actually get into the semi-finals as it stands, and then possibly into the final. But he could really do with a ruckload of points out of this one, and I'm sure he's fully aware of that. In the meantime, though, there's Lee Hackett about to leave the pit lane. He's just leaving the pit lane now. It's Lee Hackett with the white helmet there. There's Sam Slater at the rear on screen, and they're all out on the track now. Some people actually sort of just getting out of the way of others as well as they begin their actual qualifying lap. Arnaud Tinet, of course, is the one who's going to set the first time, and we'll see how those fall in around Tinet from there. So it is at the point in the championship now where people really do need to be getting results. Certain people will see that they're on the back foot and need to get the job done. Others will have scored well and want to keep scoring well. They'll have their eyes already on the final by this stage. Certain people who've won, you know, twice or come first and second, things like that. So the checker is out, and we've got the lap times coming in. Tinet, of course, is on provisional pole at the moment. He's just been beaten by James Marshall. James Marshall on top. So Matej Vrana now moves up into 1st place with a 33.4. And Phillipe Denooz is in 2nd, so it's still Vrana in the lead right now. At 2nd is Sam Spinnael. It's still Vrana. This is looking good for Matej Vrana. Into 3rd goes Michael Weddell, the Scottish mini champion. And but topping the list, it's Lee Hackett. Lee Hackett has gone fastest. Wow. Lee Hackett just about pips Matej Vrana, Hollink is in there, and so is Sebastian Raikkonen, but they don't trouble the pole sitter Lee Hackett. It's Lee Hackett who's going to be on pole position for this particular race, and Hackett has got a first place and a second place to his credit, and now he starts his third heat race out of 4 that he's going to take part in on the pole position. So this is a good chance for Lee to convert this one. Where did Slater finish? Slater's not been qualifying as well as we'd seen of late. He's down in 6th place, and that's not really what he needs. Matej Vrana there is in 2nd, but Sam Spinnael will be looking to win this one as well. But Michael Weddell, on the scheme of things, that looks like not a bad job there by Weddell.
I think he'll be happy with that. He was caught up in that battle in his last heat and ended up getting jumped by Piscores when he didn't have a chance to fight them or defend that on track. He had just, I think it was Inglecki, wasn't it? He just had a complete bumper full of Inglecki, and that ended up costing him places. So big one for Weddell to improve here.
Yes, it is, and look at this as well. The first 9 are a mere 0.06 of a second apart. Potentially the tightest qualifying we've seen all weekend. So Lee Hackett has now been moved to the front. He's got Matej Vrana behind him. Have we got any deals going on? Look closely at the drivers. There are absolutely no deals going on here. Lee Hackett's interested in nothing except winning, and I think that's the same for Matej Vrana and certainly for Sam Spinnael. Weddell, as you say, is potentially the spoiler in this. Sam Slater needs to move up ahead, and Phillipe Denooz, I think, is going to want to replicate that third we saw earlier on. He's not going to be content with 5th if he's run 3rd.
It's a tight top 6, isn't it?
Very tight. Well, top 9.6.
Oh wow, yeah.
Very, very tight. Okay, so here they come round. Now, what sort of start is Lee Hackett going to give us? Is he going to go very soon? Is he going to pull Vrana with him? Is he going to leave it nice and late and bunch them all up? We've seen some incidents on the opening lap from late starts. It's a very even getaway, but Lee's done it about right. He's got it in the middle. There's an even spacing. Probably not too much trouble on the first lap here. We've seen, well, it's Lee Hackett who's the one who tags the barrier from in the lead. So the only one to actually touch the wall is the one who's in front. So Lee Hackett leads them away around the back part on that sweeping bend. Matej Vrana is in 2nd place. Sam Spinnael is in 3rd. Now Hackett's coming down the backstretch now. He had a little look over his shoulder, but there's nothing going on behind him, so he's quite comfortable there in 1st place. Even completing the first lap, it is Lee Hackett. Sorry, Spanners, away you go.
Even though no one's made a move or made a lunge, they're still very, very close. That's all I was going to say. I think you're right. I think Hackett sort of bunched them up a bit.
And you picked up on a tight top 6 earlier on, and that tight top 6 is turning into a group of 6, because Lee Hackett's not pulling away from Vrana, and Sam Slater in 6 is absolutely on the tail of that. Yeah. He couldn't be any closer to the one in front, and so on up the order.
I think if there's going to be a gap anywhere, it's going to be between Slater and Marshall that opens up.
Which is arguably on its way to opening now, isn't it? You can see a notable sort of like almost a space for a cart there between Slater. Slater's in the green helmet. We can see him in view now. There's Slater. There's that gap I was talking about. And there comes James Marshall. So James Marshall's got Emile Hollink, Arnaud Tinet, and then Sebastian Raikkonen behind him. He's obviously going to try and bridge the gap to Sam Slater. Sam Slater, World Championship level driver these days, down in 6th place there. Such is the standard here at Milton Keynes this weekend.
So Spinnael also just losing touch slightly with those top 3. I don't know if he's nervous about Weddell, because Weddell's out of that group. You'd say Weddell's most likely to take a lunge early on.
Yes, he is. He's got what you almost describe as the most comfortable gap from Weddell that you could hope for. He's arguably bang in the middle between Vrana and Weddell, but I think being Sam Spinnael, he's more likely to move closer to Vrana than he is to actually drop back to Weddell. But obviously, Weddell's no mean driver, being the Scottish mini champion, so we'll see what he has to offer.
A big contact there from, I think it was Marshall, or it might be Hollink as well. Anyway, yeah, he took a big chunk out of the corner, right by race control, and then got punted up back.
Absolutely. Well, those guys at the back, Marshall, Hollink, Tinet and Raikkonen, they're sort of in their own scrap there. There's going to get definitely 2 groups here, because Lee Hackett is not able to pull away from Matej Vrana, and Sam Spinnael is making darn sure that he's not getting left behind. If anyone's going to get left behind out of that main group, or a gap appears, it's probably going to be between Spinnael and Weddell, because there's a second opened up between that lot now. There it is. You can see down the front stretch, or down the back stretch there, it's Hackett, Vrana, Spinnael, then a slight gap to Michael Weddell, Denooz and Slater.
My instinct here is that Hackett is in 1st place, that he would rather hold that place than take risks trying to pull a gap. So I think he's perfectly happy driving a little bit defensively in front of Vrana there.
Absolutely. We're seeing lap times 33.2 for Hackett, 33.1 for Vrana, 33.2 on Spinnael. They are comfortably pulling away a bit, but Phillipe Denooz has set a quick one as well. He's 33.1, but the fastest at the moment in this race has been Matej Vrana, 32.9, and he's now a mere 0.2 seconds behind Hackett, which is closer technically on time going over the finish line here on screen than he has since the first lap.
Yep, so we've got a group of 3, another group of 3, and then the rest. But we also do have a pit as well, with Hollink coming in from an early pit stop to get out of that group of a back 4. He's gone very close to the line and waited for the green light before going. You see a lot of the guys hanging back from the timing beam and trying to sort of risk it, get on it early and predict the green light.
Absolutely. It looks like it's about a 11, just under 11 second stop there by Hollink, so quite a quick one really. And well, looking now again, it is Hackett from Vrana, and it's arguable that Spinnael might be falling off them. He's 1.1 second away from Hackett. That is a reasonable gap. 14, that's Arnaud Tinet, everybody's favourite Frenchman, is in the pits. Look at that big GoPro in front of him. It's got to be argued, is he driving by looking at the screen of the GoPro or from actually looking down the visor?
Are you sure he's not Italian with those hand gestures?
Well, he's well on his way to the border there, isn't he? He's obviously based in Nice then, if that's the case. You're right, he was waving his arms
there, isn't it?
Yeah, he's definitely heading towards the Italian border. Meantime, there's Lee Hackett. Matej Vrana looked like he was having a little bit of a check to the inside without anything really happening there on Lee Hackett. Probably just more a slight difference in actual racing line than any real move. Vrana is really hanging on well there with Lee Hackett. We've seen some good results by Vrana. He's well up the order in the scores. Lee Hackett, though, hanging on in the lead. Now, Sam Spinnael has just pinched a 1/10 of a second off that gap. Could we see Spinnael start to sort of bridge what little gap there is and make this a pure 3-way fight? That would be bad news for Vrana.
Yeah, I can see it. I think that's where the momentum is shifting. I think the pace of the top 3 is fairly similar, but then Hackett and Vrana will just occasionally take a little bit here and a little bit there out of each other, force Hackett to go slightly defensive, and I think that's the way it's going. But interesting to see how far Slater's fallen off the back of Denooz.
Yeah, and Slater, obviously any chance of winning he had has fallen 5 seconds off now. That's from Lee Hackett in first, but every lap now for the past 3 laps, well, it was only half a second there, not half a tenth there, but Sam Spinnael has been closing on the leaders and time to Lee Hackett, who is the leader, at a 1/10 of a second a lap. So it does appear that Spinnael is finding a little bit of extra speed. Matej Vrana still is the fastest on the track on listed times, but of the 3 on that last lap, it was Spinnael who was quickest. He's making up a lot of time under braking there, didn't he? Just
getting nice
obviously,
sideways.
yeah, obviously lost it coming out the corner. But in fact, he's not lost all of it. He's closer than he was going down the backstretch.
So for Vrana, he was sitting comfortable, and at the moment, he's not having to go defensive. That equation changes a lot once Spinnael gets onto that back bumper. But for now, he seems content to sit behind Hackett. He's not poking his nose in or being overly aggressive.
Absolutely, and if he's going to attack Hackett on the road, now is the time. But if he leaves it much longer, he'll have the attention of Sam Spinnael, and that will be out the window.
Having to go slightly defensive now, and that's taking chunks out of both their time and letting Spinnael in.
Yeah, Spinnael is now less than 1 complete second to the leader, which is Hackett, with Vrana in between them. Vrana's sort of maintaining a consistent gap on the timings to Hackett as they cross the line, and it is Spinnael who's closing in, and he's now down to 0.8 of a second, which I think is as much as anything the fact that it may well be that Lee Hackett is not really matching him for speed, because Spinnael 32.96 is quicker than the pair of them running up front. I think I'm not sure if he's running faster or they're losing a bit of time.
Look, if you look down on the track, he's there. I mean, Spinnael is there or thereabouts, isn't he? But interesting, coming down the back straight, Vrana was pretty much all the way on the left-hand side, really showing his bumper to Hackett, and Hackett's quite comfortable. As long as he doesn't leave a Vrana width gap, he's okay down there.
Yeah, you're not really likely to kind of scare Hackett out of first place, are you? It's going to be very hard to force a mistake. When you consider the sort of pressure he withstood from Guillermo van Pamelen, who was really piling pressure on, I think Matej Vrana is going to be a little bit ambitious if he thinks he's going to force an error from Hackett at this stage. So they crossed the line. Spinnael has actually closed in again. It was, as I say, less than a 10th, but it was closer on the numbers to what he was before, and that's to race leader Hackett. So it's not just Vrana he's closing on, it's against race leader Hackett. Vrana is now 0.2 seconds to Hackett, which is close as he's been. So, well, I think we just got a repeat of the race we just watched. Again, with Lee in the same place, just with a different supporting cast.
Yeah, exactly. He started first this time. He didn't have to get past people on track, but he's done the job from the front.
Yes, he has, and he's continuing to do that. We've got just over 11 and a half minutes. And into the pits then, 20 is Denooz. Now, Denooz, we saw him running in third place earlier on. This time he's doing his best with a fifth. He's losing places because he's taking the pit stop. Hopefully, from his point of view, he'll make them back up. Now, anyone making a pit stop at this early stage tends to be doing it for reasons of they are in a group and they want out of it because they think they'll be faster on their own. Not sure how Denooz had that idea, but we'll see what happens.
He was up behind Weddell, and I don't think there was any way past forthcoming, so he's decided to take that tack. So, but now Weddell doesn't have to worry about Denooz on his rear, so number 9 comes into the bit. That is Weddell, so he's covering him up.
Now, yes, he is, and Denooz needed a bit more free time to actually make the leapfrog on Weddell, and it's not going to happen, is it? Because, well, let's see how it's worked out. Where is Weddell and where is Denooz?
Yep.
Yeah, they're sort of where they were before, really, aren't they?
Well, actually, yeah, Weddell had a bit of a gap, maybe a cart's width, so I think he's realised that is his only battle in this race, and he's stayed out in front. So he's now guaranteed that he has got a rear bumper full of Denooz for the rest of this race, and he's got 10 minutes to hold him off.
Yeah, and that's going to be quite a long time when you're up against Phillipe Denooz. He's going to be working on Weddell, and he's probably going to run out of patience at some point.
Marshall into the pits for a pit stop. Let's see how he does. Stops short of the line, gives himself a run up. Maybe could have been a bit more confident going there, but again, gives himself a run up for the second one, and he's timed that pretty well. Comes out on his own. Yeah,
that was a pretty good stop there by James Marshall. What is it? Well, it's, nearly 12. In the pits, it's Matej Vrana. Vrana in the pits from second place. Now, how's this going to look? He was only 0.2 of a second behind Hackett, according to the timing. It looks like a good pit stop. We'll see what the timing says. He's coming out behind Sam Slater. It was a good stop. It was a very good stop indeed. He's 11 seconds. We'll take that. But Matej Vrana is now handed the sort of gauntlet to Lee Hackett. Lee Hackett's going to have to make it good.
Hackett looks behind him, spots Spinnael, and does the come on, let's get on with it. Don't harass me, don't harass me. Actually, this is the first time in the race he's had the freedom of not having anyone on his bumper, and he knows he needs to get on with it. But I think that's a bit cheeky. I don't think Spinnael will be that cooperative.
No, I think you might be right there. I think Spinnael's going to be driving his own race. He might actually sort of agree with Lee Hackett to a point, but I think if the opportunity rises, he'll avoid the bumper, but he'll certainly take the place if he can.
If that gap closes, Hackett's got to pit. Yes. Otherwise, he's going to keep slowing up, keep defending, and he's guaranteeing he's losing first place.
Well, the measurement I was looking at earlier on about how far back Spinnael was. Spinnael in the pit, Spinnael in the pit. So Hackett's got a clear run now. He's going to see no one behind him. But can Spinnael leapfrog? Where is he? Matej Vrana. That's the big question. What's it going to be like? Here comes Vrana. It's going to be side by side out the pits. Yes, it is. It's side by side out the pits, and Vrana just takes it. So positions resumed as normal. But can Vrana and Spinnael actually make up ground on Hackett without Hackett being there? That is going to be the interesting thing. That's why they're pitted. You've got Sam Slater listed as second at the moment. He's not pitted, but he is right ahead of Matej Vrana, which obviously means he's also right ahead of Sam Spinnael.
Both those two nailed their pit stops, to be fair. So what can Hackett do on his own now that he's not having to defend against any?
Well, that's going to be the big question. He's just responded with the fastest lap of the race, a 32.859. That is very quick indeed. No one's even in the 32.8 at all. So Hackett has responded in answer to your question. He's answered you, Spanners, with a new fastest lap.
The heartbroken Vrana fans picking themselves up off the floor as Hackett ruins it with that outstanding show of pace.
Absolutely. So Lee Hackett, 21 laps in, 22 laps in now, and Lee Hackett leads the way. He's got a 10-second lead over Sam Slater, which means Lee could almost make a pit stop and come out still in the lead, and that's going to be crucial mentally. In fact, Spinnael, no, he couldn't. He's let's have a look. There's Sam Slater. Yeah. So Lee actually could make a pit stop and come out with the lead. Looking at this now, Vrana is back up to second, 11.3 seconds behind. So if Lee Hackett made a blinding pit stop right now, it would be job done. He's still being listed as the fastest though, and the last laps he's still very quick. He's as good as he needs to be.
Actually, Slater got out just in front of Raikkonen, and that was key, because I think a few corners had been frustrated behind Raikkonen. Might have, mind you, that said, I mean, he was quite far off Denooz anyway on track, so still, all the better to get clear.
Yeah, I mean, with the best will in the world, there's no question that Slater's going to be the quicker of those two. So Slater getting out right in front of Raikkonen has saved him the trouble of having to try and pass him, basically, hasn't it?
Well, I'm supporting Raikkonen because he's my Facebook friend.
Excellent. Well, that's good news. So, well, glad to hear you've got some. And here comes Lee Hackett, and Lee Hackett is well on his way towards winning this one. He's trying to open up a gap. Looking at the recent times, though, his last lap was a 32.9, but it was less than a tenth of a second faster than Matej Vrana. So Lee Hackett is trying to check out here. He can't see Vrana and Spinnael, but he certainly knows he's got to be quick. As it happens, they're setting almost identical times, even though they're on different parts of the track as we speak. All
right, then, so you're Hackett's coach. Do you tell him to stay out there in clean air and put these hot laps in? Or do you say, get in now, get back in front of those guys, and let's play that defensive game all the way to the checkered flag?
Well, I can tell you exactly what I would do. I would look over the next two laps at the gap, which is slightly increasing. So as the gap has slightly increased by a tenth to Vrana, I would say to Lee to stay out. There's no one really in front of him for a long time that he's actually going to catch. And so by staying out, he's going to increase that lead. If the lead was coming down, then now would be the time to stop, so that you came out and physically blocked Vrana, rather than letting the lead come down to such a point that Vrana actually leapfrogs you in the pit stop.
So are we matching Hackett versus Vrana's pace, or are we backing wheel-to-wheel, on-track, bumper-to-bumper action? Which battle do you want?
I think that the favourable battle for Lee would be to do it on lap times now and just come out of the pits ahead of Vrana. Yes, he's going to be sat in front of Vrana with him breathing down the neck for as long as he stays out. I mean, there's only 5 minutes left, so it's not going to be too long.
Also, Hackett's out there on his own. Vrana's not out there on his own. Spinnael is within touching distance and could end up causing him a headache.
Yes, he could. I mean, the gap is pretty much staying constant at 11.4, which is arguably an average pit stop. Vrana, though, as we see crossing the line, he's got a comfortable enough gap from Spinnael that, yes, he needs to be aware of that, but he's not actually getting any hassle from him. So Vrana is fairly clear to do whatever lap time he wants. Certainly he doesn't have to go defensive, which could cost him time, or, more importantly, prevent him from going faster than what he is now.
Well, the fantastic production crew here is keeping track of the on-track battle, where the karts are closest, and that is Weddell and Denooz as well. So they've come back together on track after the pit stops. I think Weddell is absolutely now, dedicated. He's in to this defensive battle now. There's nothing else that matters. He covered him off 1 lap later. He got back out in front, and this is going to be them to the checkered flag, I think.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, to be honest with you, considering they pitted just a lap apart, it's been them all race long, hasn't it? You know, they've been at it like this. This has been just, you know, lap after lap, the same thing from these two.
It is worth noting, though, that Denooz does have a better run out of the final turn. So they're almost side by side, but Weddell's wise to it. He's staying very far left, getting very sideways on that hairpin after the back straight here. Look, you can see Weddell's stuck to the left-hand side. Then he's really giving it some very busy on the wheel, and now he knows he can relax into this tight final section.
Absolutely, and here comes that final turn you were talking about. Really, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to pass through these sweepers just after the final turn there, as Weddell definitely chops off Denooz. Meantime, though, the gap has come down for the lead. It's down from 11.4 to 11.2. Not enough.
What are you thinking?
Well, do you know what? I would want to see one more lap, but I think Lee Hackett needs to come in pretty much now anyway, because whatever happens, it's not going to be a massive difference in those times. So really, I think, and it's down to 10.8. This could be nasty for Lee Hackett. He needs to definitely pit now or do a very quick lap. And the thing was that Lee Hackett was slightly slower and Vrana was slightly faster, and that's what's made nearly half a second. It's down to 10.8. Well, Lee's going to come out. If he pits now, he's going to come out side by side with Matej Vrana. He's going to have to come in soon, because there's only 2 minutes, 50 left. So we're looking at a last lap coming out soon. But Vrana is doing everything he needs to do to actually be side by side with Lee. However, it's going to be very tight. And it's come down again by another 10. Vrana is closing in.
Well, this is the beauty of this format and the pit stop strategy being thrown in. It really is a fantastic way to make the drivers think about not just wheel-to-wheel action, but also the strategy. It's been fantastic to watch.
Yeah, very strategic as an international kart event. They're coming down, it's 2:22, 2:21 left on the timer, and the flag will probably be out with like 15 seconds to go. So obviously Lee Hackett really needs to think about pitting, but he is losing time to, he's upped his pace, but so is Matej Vrana. Vrana has responded. It's now down to 10.6. We know that it means given how long it takes to come in and out of the pits, that Lee Hackett is probably going to come out of the pit side by side with Matej Vrana. He will obviously hold the inside, but Vrana's going to get racy. There's Raikkonen in the pits. Here's Lee Hackett. Lee's going to be blocked by Sebastian Raikkonen. Surely, is Lee Hackett going to be blocked? He's in the pits, but with Sebastian Raikkonen, it's very close. Almost losing time, but not quite. But where's Matej Vrana? Here comes Vrana. Vrana's going to challenge Lee. He's going to get him. He's got momentum. It's Vrana around the outside. Vrana around the outside. Lee's going to have to lunge it up the inside. He sends it and holds on to the lead. Oh my goodness me, Lee Hackett, he really had to work it there. Massive risks taken and the lead maintained. It really looked like Vrana, in fact it looked like Vrana had got his nose in front, but Lee Hackett had the inside, was able to outbrake him into the corner. Surely that's decided the race with just 1 minute 15 to go, as Lee Hackett has 1 lap now of huge Matej Vrana pressure.
This is going to be a great chat.
Vrana's got to be wondering what he's got to do to win a race today, because he is our second place man, isn't he? He really is today. Still, there's lots of points for second, and Lee Hackett still is in the lead. This is probably the last lap. Really no time left at all now, as well, Sam Spinnael is right with them too. This is as close as Sam Spinnael has been. They're on the back stretch in a moment. There they are. There's Lee Hackett leading in the blue with the white helmet. There's Matej Vrana in red, and there is Sam Spinnael. So Hackett, the British driver, Vrana, Matej Vrana is, of course, from Czech Republic, and this is the final lap, the final corner, and Hackett takes it. Lee Hackett absorbs enormous pressure. Matej Vrana is wondering what he has to do. Sam Spinnael, the joint British-Belgian national, has just congratulated Vrana there. But Vrana, on the one hand, he's wondering what he's got to do to win a race today. On the other hand, he's got an absolute ruck of top scores. We've seen him what? I think we've seen him second. Yes, we've seen him second. We've seen him third. And now we've seen him second again. Vrana, although he hasn't won a race at all yet, he's doing exactly what he needs to do to take a win. And here they come in the pits now. We've got, obviously, Lee Hackett winning from Matej Vrana and Sam Spinnael. Michael Weddell held off Phillipe Denooz. Sam Slater was 6th, Emile Hollink 7th, James Marshall 8th, Sebastian Raikkonen 9th, and Arnaud Tinet rounded out the top 10 there in with a 1 lap down. He actually went a lap down to the leaders there. So, Lee Hackett, once again, absorbing massive pressure. This time it wasn't Guillermo van Pamelen, it was, though, Matej Vrana. So whenever Lee Hackett's won a race today, it's been a real tight 1, 2, 3. And Hackett, well, doing very well indeed to come out in front. Hackett's results have generally been looking all right today. He's got 2 wins and a 2nd place. That's the kind of result that can put you in the final. Obviously, he's got another heat race to do tomorrow, and then the semi-final race all going well, and from that he'll know if he's booked his place into the final. But Lee Hackett there absorbing massive pressure. A very worthy result from the former double British champion, Lee Hackett. And we've got spanners in the pits.
Do it the easy way for once, will you?
Oh, no.
Well, that was a completely easy and not at all heart-stopping victory for you there. Do you not like doing things the easy way?
Yeah, a bit of an understatement that. It was certainly a tough one. I knew Vrana was quick. I knew he had Sam behind him. To be honest, when they both pitted, I hoped they would battle. But it looked like Sam was just a little bit further back, and he had a little bit of pace on me, to be honest. I just did a really good pit stop and just squeezed out another 10th, 1 more lap, and he would have been passed, I think. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, we saw the gap initially increase, and then it was coming down, and we were sitting there, arguing. If you were your manager, what would we do? So what tells you when to make the decision to come in?
Well, because actually I saw, I gapped a couple of tenths at the start, so I knew I'd gained a little bit, and then he seriously sped up, and I was probably in my own head. I slowed down a bit, lost a couple of tenths, and I just was like, right, wait till the last lap, see what we can do, saw the board and came in.
So with this format, with that pit stop, you had a choice. Do you come in early and just try and defend on track, bumper to bumper, or do you try and battle him lap time for lap time? Was that in your head?
Yeah, that was in my head, and I was saying actually in both of my races, I would rather be on my own, so I don't have to defend, try and pull out the best out of the cart, and yeah, luckily that worked. So.
Tell us about coming out of the pits side by side into turn 3.
Scary. To be honest, I thought he'd done me, it was like so close, and I just about squeezed it in there, and luckily it's a right-hander. If that was a left-hander, yeah, he'd have been through.
A hell of a race and loads of momentum. Well done, thanks for entertaining us. Wow, what a finish to that race. I'm going to go back up there for the next heat.
Okay then, so what a race there, won by Lee Hackett, and he was right in what he said. It was a little bit of both. When that gap jumped and Matej Vrana was able to make a bit of an inroad to his lead when they were separated after Vrana's pit stop, there was a couple of laps where Lee Hackett lost a couple of tenths and Vrana and Spinnael had sped up. So it was a little bit